All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into a truly fascinating and honestly highly detailed utopian manifesto called Blessings from the Kingdom of Heaven. Authored by a figure known as Deiform Buddha, this text makes some incredibly grand, sweeping claims about the destiny of humanity. Now, just to be super clear up front, we aren't here to endorse these ideas as absolute truth, but rather to objectively unpack the mechanics of this proposed worldview. It's a wildly ambitious blueprint for a totally new human existence, and we're going to map it out together. So the manifesto kicks things off with this incredibly vivid promise. It says, a bright era of spring blossoms, blooming flowers, harmonious chirping birds, and universal harmony is about to arrive. Right off the bat, this sets the stage for what it calls an earthly paradise. And the author isn't just pitching a, slightly better political system here. They are talking about a total utopian transformation of planet Earth, literally wiping away hunger, anxiety, and conflict entirely. To understand how this manifesto claims will actually get there, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The 1,000-year golden age, 2. A holographic conscious universe, 3. Beyond traditional religions, 4. The rules of cultivation, and finally, number 5, the ultimate eternal promise. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, the 1,000-year golden age. We really need to look at the massive temporal and societal shift that sits at the very heart of this text. Now, what's super interesting here is how it defines this Lifechanyuan era. It's described as a 1,000-year earthly paradise. But check out the second half of that definition. This isn't just a more peaceful version of the world we know today. No, the text insists that to reach this utopia, traditional societal structures have to be totally eradicated. Nations gone. Religions and political parties completely disappear. Even the traditional family structure is dissolved. The argument is that greed, selfishness, and conflict stem directly from these old structures, so by removing them, a totally unified, harmonious human existence can emerge. And the text gives us a very clear timeline to put all this into context. It looks at the past as a labyrinth of life, basically a long historical struggle filled with misfortune. The present, though, that's framed as something incredibly urgent. The author actually calls it a great adjustment of cosmic life. And to put that into perspective, they claim this is a rare opportunity that only comes around once in hundreds of millions of years. Then, the future is that 1,000-year Lifechanyuan era of bliss. So it's creating this massive sense of urgency, essentially telling the reader, hey, you are part of a lucky generation standing right at the threshold. The door just opened, so don't cling to the past. Moving right along to Section 2, a holographic conscious universe. We know what the future is supposed to look like, but how does the universe actually work according to this philosophy? Let's check out the underlying mechanics. Well, according to the author, the universe operates holographically, with consciousness right at its core. This is an absolutely crucial concept to grasp. The text essentially claims that the universe is like this giant, ultra-precise feedback loop, and it's driven entirely by human consciousness. It operates literally on the principle of you reap what you sow. If you send positive, aligned messages out into the universe, the greatest creator feeds that right back to you. There's no randomness here. It's about absolute cause and effect driven entirely by your inner mind. This idea sets up a really stark contrast. The text completely rejects superficial, physical rituals. Outward appearances or ecstatic meditations that belong to the material world. Actually, scratch that. It doesn't just reject them, it says true cultivation is exclusively found in the non-material structure. It's all about inner consciousness transformation, developing a dynamic heart and elevating your thinking to understand what they call the 8 mysteries of life. So it's very much an inward journey, not a physical display. Okay, let's dive into Section 3, Beyond Traditional Religions. A really crucial point is how this manifesto handles all the existing belief systems humanity has built up over millennia. This is, hands down, one of the most audacious aspects of the whole text. It takes a highly syncretic approach, meaning it takes completely different belief systems and just blends them all together. It unifies figures like the greatest creator, Christ Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, Prophet Muhammad, Sage Lao Tzu, and get this, alongside Marxists and communists. The big proposition here is that none of these figures or groups were wrong. Instead, their historical efforts are all perfectly converging right now to build this single ultimate Lifechanyuan era. But there's a pretty major caveat about how you're supposed to interact with these traditional figures. The manifesto explicitly states, true faith in Jesus lies not in blindly following the words written by his disciples, but in understanding his will and heart. It's telling followers to look right past static scriptures and rigid dogmas. The argument is basically that the written words are dead, but the heart and intention are alive. So to truly connect with these figures, you have to bypass the institutions entirely and connect with their living essence. That brings us to Section 4, the rules of cultivation. Let's see how all this lofty philosophy translates into day-to-day actionable guidelines for its followers, who are known as Chanyuan Celestials. Personal cultivation here isn't about complex ceremonies. It's broken down into 4 very specific steps. Step 1 is understanding the Tao. Step 2 is seeking the Tao. Step 3 is attaining the Tao. And Step 4 is walking the Tao. Again, the entire focus is on inner realization. It's about living with absolute integrity, ensuring your inner thoughts match your outward actions perfectly. Followers are urged to be completely open, hiding absolutely nothing from the universe or society, and to bravely entrust their lives to this path. However, make no mistake, the text draws a very hard behavioral line. It champions what it calls civilized life, being honest, sincere, open, and blending like a drop of water, which we'll come back to in a second. But it sharply contrasts this with barbaric behaviors, things like fanaticism, extreme nationalism, superstition, and hatred. And the text issues a severe warning here. Those who engage in these divisive behaviors will fail to align with the new era and will literally be purified and eliminated from Earth. Only the civilized group gets to move on. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, the ultimate eternal promise. Let's look at the ultimate cosmological goal for those who pass this test. The philosophy guarantees an absolutely massive escalation of existence. The text promises that you will extend your life to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world, enjoying eternal bliss. So that earthly paradise we talked about, that's really just step 1. For the faithful Chanyuan Celestials, the promise is progressive. If you successfully elevate your consciousness now, you'll progressively extend your life across ever greater eternal cosmic realms. We are talking about a literal promise of immortality here. So, as objective observers taking all this in, we arrive at the core question. How does one actually prepare for this massive, impending cosmic adjustment? What's the ultimate, bottom-line takeaway for navigating this proposed radical shift in human consciousness? The text leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful directive: blend yourself, like a drop of water, into the vast ocean of Lifechanyuan. The ultimate conclusion of this manifesto is that absolute assimilation is the key to salvation. To secure your place in this grand utopian future, the individual ego must be totally abandoned to serve a perfectly harmonious collective. You have to become completely transparent, just one single drop within a unified ocean. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating, provocative thought to ponder today. In the pursuit of absolute harmony and a perfect utopia, is the ultimate price the complete surrender of our individual selves? Think about what it really means to lose the drop to gain the ocean. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.